Life is so unpredictable. It can change in a split of a second. I thought I had it all. We had a great family, healthy children, beautiful lifestyle. But I would have never thought in a million years that would have happened to her family.
Gone Too Soon is a really tragic story of a mother who's lost her child. Um, I think that anytime a parent loses their child, it's always too soon. It's almost like it's like the wrong order of things. Um, but what's really inspiring is that she's chosen to take her experience, which is painful on its own, but even more painful as she's noticed that our communities um, are not comfortable with death, and there's no real guidebook on how to show up for people who have lost close ones. And I think a lot of people mean well, but they just are uncomfortable, and they don't know what to do, and they don't know what to say, and so they just don't. And she experienced this, and is actively, doing things about it, and she's trying to end the stigma around bereavement, and has joined support groups, and is kind of doing all of the right things and taking action for something that's so personal to her. And I really, really commend her for that. I think that's a very important conversations that need to happen. And yeah, I really hope that this hits the right audience. I think I'm the right audience. I've definitely been guilty of that, of not knowing how to show up properly for somebody who's lost someone. So this is really helpful and really important.
All right, I just finished watching Gone Too Soon, which I found to be a very powerful and emotional piece about grief, parenting, dealing with tragedy. It's such a terrible event in the center of this documentary-style piece. The explanation of what happened with her on the beach that day was incredibly just sort of emotionally powerful and engaging to watch. It's difficult not to become invested in such a story. I thought the documentary really created a sense of beauty and spirituality through the piece, even though it had such dark themes. And I thought that there were some good ideas towards the end of her trying to still deal with grief but having difficulty moving on. I thought it was a very relatable construct around that idea, and I thought that the piece had a really great sense of compassion and heart that made the tragedy something that I thought was powerful and impactful on several levels. So I ended up thinking the piece was incredibly well done. Visually, all the pictures of the war on the beach obviously were quite powerful, but I thought the main woman's I'm sorry for forgetting her name at this moment, but her interview style commentary probably was obviously the centerpiece and the most powerful experience while watching this piece. And I thought that there was just a really great sense of heart that made this something that was very easy to get into and difficult to ignore. So I thought it was well done overall.
Gone Too Soon. This film really just captures your attention right off the bat. Not just because it has such beautiful cinematography, but also because it's such an emotional piece. The emotion coming through in the interviews and the way that the filmmakers kind of set up these interviews and telling the story about this family and this heart-wrenching loss, just, it takes you with them and you feel everything that she's feeling. You feel it so deeply because she is being so honest on camera. I think that they did a great job with the music. It was understated enough that it wasn't detracting from the emotion of the piece and what was happening. Yeah, really, really beautiful film, and what a nice way to honor her son. Yeah, I thought it was great.
Gone Too Soon very much tackles a very heavy topic, which is um, losing a loved one, but specifically losing your own child. Um, I think it's a very serious message in the sense that um, it's a time of grieving, but something very important that I think was brought up was how those who have not experienced that pain, that loss, handle the situation. Because it is a very human reaction to distance yourself because you don't know the right thing to say, you don't know the right thing to do, you don't know how to make the situation better, so you think removing yourself is the best course of action, uh, when in reality you're essentially leaving someone who feels alone. uh, but it is a very heavy issue. It's a very painful issue, uh, and it's an issue that can only be resolved in a community. And I think that's the biggest message from this, is that if someone is hurting, they should not have to hurt alone. Uh, and I think that message definitely needs to be spread.
Gone Too Soon. Gone Too Soon is a deep story, very sad, very touching. The main character is really, really pulling out all her feelings in this little documentary. I could feel the loss, and I could feel the terrible, tragic event that she had to endure. Is something that no parents should live during their lives, and unfortunately, when this stuff happen, I think for a parent you really don't know what to do. Yeah, I mean that's the worst thing that could happen to you. But I could also feel that this main character, this woman, she has power. She wants to. She still has an energy inside her to turn things around and keep going with her life, trying to do the best she can to remember her child forever. But I can also feel that she's calling for help, because not many people that were around her really helped her after the event. So I can really feel the struggle, and I can see that a lot of people could see themselves reflected in this story. So overall, touching short, beautifully short, and very well done. Congratulations.
Gone Too Soon. I thought this was really, really, really intense and a really, really, really emotional and really, really, really powerful. And I think it was a much, not necessarily needed, but maybe needed perspective from a really, really hard place that I think naturally people want to shy away from talking about, bringing up in, conversation, because of the weight of it, because of the emotions of it, because of the heaviness of it. And I think the perspective of her saying, yes, all of those things are true. Yes, it is heavy. Yes, it is emotional. Yes, it is, intense, and it's a lot, but because of all of those things is actually why you need to kind of step up more and, take it a step farther and, help stand next to those people that you know and love, who are friends, who are family maybe, and, stand by them in any way that you can, and, still face it all, head on. Not be scared of the emotions, not be, unsure of what to say, or, let that stop you, because it is true, and it is horrifying, and grief is big, and it is incredibly personal and very hard to deal with, and, making sure that if somebody is going through, is grieving, that you don't let the grief scare you, even though it is your friend's grief or your family's grief, and don't let that be a reason to kind of back off. I thought it was beautiful. I thought that was a beautiful sentiment.
This story breaks my heart. I'm sorry she lost a child. It's the worst thing people can go through, as she says. Because, like they said, there's a word for if you lose a spouse. There's a word for if you lose a parent, but there is not a word for if you lose a child. Because there is nothing in human language that could describe that grief. I am truly sorry she lost her child. I felt her emotion through the screen. I felt everything in the score, how she was telling it. And I love that she wants to find light in something so tragic. Because that light is the one that is going to help her continue going. That light to find support groups for those who are going through the loss of a child, the bereavement groups. That she can find a light in the darkness to help her continue going on is a very moving thing. And I hope that eventually she will do it to where, tell people it is okay to grieve. It's never going to be okay that your child's gone, but it is okay to grieve, and hopefully she finds out that it wasn't her fault. It was just an accident, because I know that's something probably easier said than done. I do like that she went over the fact that when people are gone, that it's awkward and they don't know what to say, so they don't say anything and they kind of disappear, when really it's something that they should play by ear, because she sounded like she needed people nearby, but people didn't know what to say and it became awkward, so they didn't say anything. I do really like that she's trying to find light in the darkness, though, and I hope she's successful at it.
Gone Too Soon. Well, this film was beautifully done. It was a struggle to watch, but I wanted to respect this mother and hear her out and learn about the loss of her son. It was a privilege to watch because she lost her social connections, or many of them, friends that couldn't deal with her loss, and how she sought to find a support group for people that had this in common with her. That was really courageous. This film also had a purpose for her in that she helped to break the stigma of bereavement, which I hadn't thought of until she said it. But what a wonderful lady, and I'm really, really glad to have been able to see this show.